I had hair.
Look at that.
Look at
Hair,
that.
and we played in the all ugly category, the Cooperalls.
Wendell Clark, or as Leafs Nation knows him, Captain Crunch, is the ultimate blend of grit, heart, and Canadian toughness. Toronto's first overall pick in the 1985 NHL draft, Wendell fought hard in the league for 15 seasons, beginning and ending his on-ice career with the Toronto Maple Leafs.
But Clark wasn't just a punishing power forward. He was a leader, a captain, and the kind of guy teammates would follow into battle. Whether it was lighting the lamp or dropping the gloves, he did it all with a snarl and a smile.
Off the ice, he is just as proud of being a dad as he is of being Captain Crunch, family man who brought the same passion and toughness to fatherhood as he did to every shift. Wendell Clark, a warrior on the ice, a legend in Toronto.
And a true Canadian original.
Everybody's favorite time in sports is who they were watching between the ages of 6 and 14. That's their favorite era, no matter what that era is, however old you are, because that's when you idolize those players of whatever sport you're watching. So they did no wrong. To win them all, doesn't matter who you play, you got to beat them. We're good enough to, we just have to prove it. We're the right age now, our best players, to do it. Because they're not rookies, but they're not old. It's theirs to take.
Thanks for being here.
Oh, very good. Jeez.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Really good. I'm so excited to be here with you because everyone, when we say your name, the first thing that comes to mind is legend, iconic. Do you feel that every time you walk around the streets and people coming up to you?
I'm just old. That's it. That's a legend to me just means old.
No.
I'm just old, yeah.
But people must just come up to you all the time giving examples of this moment or that moment, and it makes you
hockey
relive
is
it.
central here in Toronto, so once hockey season starts, that's it. Everything as a fan comes back. The fans remember more than us players do. Because we move on to the next game, next Saturday, next play. Where a fan remembers everything that happened in that game, but couldn't do anything about it.
Right.
And then they bring it up, but you usually forget and move on to the next game because that's just the business of playing.
But there are still, people to this day are still doing video packages of your highlights.
Yeah.
Like writing long, detailed journals about your career. Does anyone ever show that stuff to you?
Yeah. Well, the odd time I'll see it, it'll be YouTube, and then I'll have to say that none of that is legal today.
So can we get into that? When you watch hockey now, it's very different when you used to play.
Regular season is different, but if you watch the first couple playoff games, how rough they were this year, so it still comes back to that when it matters. Hockey still, the reffing allows that, and it gets more physical. The game has adapted and changed, and that's always, every sport is. But when it comes to having to win when you break it down into small winning series, it comes down to some physical play, and I don't think you can get away from that.
There are a lot of people that, when they bring up the game now, almost any sport, if they were watching 20, 30 years ago, go, oh, well, in my day it was better because of ABC, X, Y, Z. What are your feelings on how it's evolved?
Well, I think it's fun. When people say that, they always remember their time. Everybody's favorite time in sports is who they were watching between the ages of 6 and 14. That's their favorite era, no matter what that era is, however old you are, because that's when you idolize those players of whatever sport you're watching. So they did no wrong. Then as you get older and you're 25 to 30, now you're finding good things, bad things about the players and whether you really liked them or not. And then you go back to your childhood and you think, oh, that was the best era. Because that's just when kids automatically, so if you go and ask anybody their favorite era, it usually started when they were in that age group where everything was that sport they were watching.
Who's your favorite player? Favorite sport?
I never had a favorite player. I always wanted to play, and then the NHL seemed too far away. Growing up in a small town, Saskatchewan, only game was Saturday night that you caught it. Those guys seemed too good to be able to play on TV. That was, you're in a little town in Western Canada. So you just kept graduating to the next level and finally got there and knew when I was about 17, 18 that I'd have a tryout to get there. And then, but never really had a favorite. The overall game, I kind of watch like a coach. I don't watch like, oh, that's my favorite. I need all
But there must
pieces.
be someone you love watching. Was there someone that you kind of grew up with and saying, I can't miss this game?
I always liked all power
Yeah.
Basically, because of how I played, but power forwards, because I played defense my whole life until I was 18. And then they said, you're a forward.
Yeah.
So I watched a lot. So in the early days would have been your Dennis Potvins in the early days, because he was both tough and sound and body checking and had lots of points. Your Mark Messier's, our all-time old guy favorite is always, if you're from Saskatchewan, is Gordie Howe.
Yeah.
That's kind of the player. I always thought the player that could play in any situation would be my favorite player. So if the game was getting really ugly, and Mark Messier could play that way, Gordie Howe could play that way. Or if it get really finesse, you still wanted Mark Messier on the ice, or Dennis Potvin. In every situation they could play. And that was fun for me to watch.
A lot of people would describe you that way, as the guy that could do everything. And certainly you did.
Well, a lot of people said I couldn't backcheck.
But you became such an integral part of not just the identity of Toronto as a hockey town, but like for Canada, for hockey in general. You became just such a central point for so many people. Even people that weren't big hockey fans knew you and knew your name, and still do. Back in the day when you were in the middle of everything, how did you keep from getting like too full of yourself when people are telling you like...
My dad would probably say, oh, bang. That's it. It goes back to childhood, right? Bang. But, or your mom, because she was a school teacher, and, basically you wanted to be friends with everybody.
Yeah.
And so to be friends with everybody, you had to be pretty even keeled.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it was growing up. You wanted to be even keeled. You want to be the same. When you walk in the dressing room, you want to be the same as everybody in there, whether it be the trainer, the guy that worked at the door on the way in the gardens, or hanging out with the best player. You wanted to be able to associate with all those players.
Do you remember the first time you went on to play for the Leafs, that moment in your experience?
I don't know if I remember the exact first game. First few training camp was in Maple Leaf Gardens, so that was one of the first. So that's
Gardens.
the old gardens.
Yeah.
That's
It's
the historic part. You enter the back. My neat thing is entering the back door, which was the old hot stove lounge.
Yeah.
Which was back door on Church Street, and you'd think today there's nobody entering any big building that had one wooden door, and you're getting into where 18,000 people sit. And so that was the iconic kind of restaurant off the back of the building, and that's where I had my first meetings with Harold Ballard, the owner, and managers and coaches, and everything was right there. And probably one of the biggest honors I had would have been 91 Canada Cup. Tryouts were in Toronto. I got cut that year, got cut in both of them. But in that 91 Canada Cup, that's when Cliff Fletcher came in, Tom Watt was coaching. And during the tournament, I got named captain of the Leafs. They made the announcement. So there you're with all your peers, the Gretzky's, Lemieux, Messier's, and so they're making fun of me. They're putting tape on my practice jersey during one of the tryouts in camp. But that's a huge honor to be named captain of your team, and you're with all Team Canada guys, the best players in the world, trying out.
What makes a good captain?
I think you got to be able to get along with everybody. That's the thing. Like I said, when you walk in the door, between the door guy coming in the building to the best players, to the training staff, the coaches, you're a go-between, and I think you want to be looked at. You don't have to be the best player. In the old days, the captain wasn't always the best player. It became more later on because it's such a marketing tool in the non-Canadian markets with the C on your jersey. But really, you're just a conduit to everybody, from the team to the coaching staff to so you want your players to be able to handle the pressure of playing in a Toronto market. You may be getting carved for a reason, but they're not really making it sounds personal, but they're just cutting the team up because the team's not doing well. But you might be the conduit. So you have to have a person that's going to be able to handle that, and not take it personally and say, okay, I want out of here. It's one of those things, and really, you're leading by example. The old school, when somebody says you grab somebody and throw them up against the wall to get them to play better, that doesn't really happen, because then that guy's not going to like you.
Right.
So really, you're leading by example. The best players, from Doug Gilmour to Joe Sakic, Eisman, that I played with on different teams, they were captains. They just led by example. They were the best player every day, practice or game. They showed up on time, and they got along with everybody. So you couldn't not try to do what they did, because if the best player is doing that, we better work that hard. And that was kind of, I think, leading by example.
What would have been your best, most useful piece of advice that a young hockey player could get from you?
I think you have to have fun. If you're an athlete trying out for your sport, is you have to love it. And you keep graduating, but you really don't know if you love it or like it until you are pressured into where now it's the next level and it's really hard to make it. And then you figure out if you love it or like it. You know, just from coaching kids, lots of times parents will say, oh, my kid loves it. And if I was to look at him honestly, no, he just likes it. But that's fine. That's why you're playing the sports, is just to be around your buddies. Because the guys in any fashion, no matter what they do, the ones that love it will find a way to make it. They'll do something. They may have to change how they play, where most kids that don't make it, a lot of them get to the American League and they can't change how they play. I went from defense to forward. Guy Carbonneau went from an offensive junior to a defensive forward. Dougie went from defensive forward to offensive forward. You have to be able to adapt and change to make it, because to make the NHL, you're going to have to change. Odds are imagine trying to make the Toronto Maple Leafs today and you're an offensive skilled kid and you're looking at our 5 best players on forward, they're going to be here for 10 years. You're not making that spot. So if I don't change how I play or think, I'm not taking Austin Matthews' spot, William Nylander's spot. Those guys are too good. So I have to change, at least at the start of my career, to get your foot in the door. And that's the biggest thing, is and that's where, do I love the game or do I like it? If I love it, I will change to make it. Where a person that just likes it won't.
Was it hard for you to change your position though?
Well, no, I was offensive anyway. I played defense my whole life. But as long as I'm not going back to junior and I get to stay in the NHL, I'll change. But I just wanted to play at that highest level. It didn't matter what position.
Well, we've got, I want to get into the stories that these photos
Before we go, do you think the Leafs are going to win?
I can't answer that. When's this coming out?
Okay, what
I
would
can't
you
answer
do?
that.
1967. What if
one
they
day,
did win?
One day they're going to win.
Do you think they would win it this year?
Oh, I have no idea.
Do they have a good chance of winning this year?
I think all teams have a really good chance this year. I can't go out on the limb on anything because I don't want to jinx it. I'm a team guy.
But okay, what do you think of the Senators then? What are your feelings
play hard.
towards them?
Senators are going to come hard at us. It's already first time in the playoffs, a little bit underdog, but I like Travis Green as a coach. I played with Travis. He's played it like those different, from an offensive guy to a defensive guy. He understands playing, and I think he'll motivate his guys. And they had a really good end to the season, so they're going to make it hard on us. And and it doesn't, to win them all. Doesn't matter who you play, you got to beat them.
Yeah.
And I think we're good enough to. We just have to prove it. We're the right age now, our best players, to do it, because they're not rookies, but they're not old, and so that's the right age for them to take it, and it's theirs to take.
Do you like the Senators?
Yeah, no, I think it. I like the makeup of a lot of them, because I knew the Kachuk boy, coached him, played with my son. Growing up a little bit for tournament hockey in the summer. I know his dad. We have a spot together down south, so I know the family. I know how Travis coaches. I know a lot of the stuff, and they've built. Like you do in Canadian cities now, you have to build pretty much through the draft. It's tough not to.
Yeah.
But they've made great steps.
Who on the squad right now could you see, like, if you were lacing up with them and playing in the same era, could you see, like, playing side by side with you? Who would you love to play with?
Well, any of the guys. I'd play wing between Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner. That's not a bad thing. Even now, I could probably just bank a couple off my butt in the net with those two guys just wheeling around out there. I think Willie's the most exciting player in the NHL almost. The skill level, because you put him on the first line or fourth line, he creates something. There's something happening when he's out there. Just how he makes skating look so easy. Sometimes people think he's not trying. And really, he's never not trying. It's just, he's so good at it. It looks good. So it looks like he's not, because that's how good a skater he is. Like he can really skate.
Do you think the players now have a better skill level compared to your era?
The top players aren't, because I think good in every era, doesn't matter the sport, are good.
Good, yeah. But
I think the way hockey's structured now, your third and fourth lines skate and play way better than in the old days, because you don't have that just tough guy role anymore. So the bottom end of the lineup, everybody can skate. Like if I took the names off the jerseys and had you go watch our American League team and the Leafs skate, you'd pick Austin, Willie, and Mitch out just like that.
Yeah.
But everybody else in the 40 players, you'd have a tough time. And half of them play in the American League because that's how good everybody skates and handles a puck. Like that's how close it is. Where when I played, you'd pick pretty much, okay, those guys are Leafs and those guys are Marlies. There was a difference.
Right.
Yeah.
Where in today with the skill level of kids and they all, sometimes I say it's a bad thing. They all have good, from shooting to stick handling to skating coaches and stuff. Everybody can skate and does well and it looks good. Where in our day, you didn't grow up with any of that. So you had all these different personalities on the ice because they had different skating styles. They had different, the way they just learned themselves how to do it. So you really notice a personality on the ice because of that was how he skated. Where today, they all skate the same. They're all taught how to do it well right off the beginning.
Yeah.
So sometimes that's what fans find boring, I think, is everything looks monotone.
Right.
If there's no goals getting scored or if there's nothing happening, because everybody does pretty well, there's nothing going on.
Yeah.
Well, they're all pretty good. It's just...
So it's more boring now, you find?
It can be more boring because, and also because of video. Because of video, you teach coaching.
Right.
You teach defense, not coaching, but you coach defense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Skill is normally, that's created from within, but you coach defensively and you break the game down. So if the other team is doing what they're supposed to do because you've watched all the video, the game's going to be boring. Nothing's going to happen because there's no mistakes. The only time something good happens is if somebody made a mistake. So it's actually, as a fan, you want to see mistakes. You don't want to, not on your own team, but because if there's mistakes, now there's a breakdown, now there's a 2-on-1, now there's a 3-on-2, now there's something happened to create excitement.
Yeah.
But if the other team that's playing defensive against you doesn't allow anything to break down, then it looks pretty boring as a fan because, well, nobody's getting open, and that's usually playoff hockey. The best players get checked so good.
Yeah.
It's your third and fourth lines that are the big key guys sometimes.
Looking for mistakes. Just put us on the ice. That'll make it exciting.
Yeah.
Put me out
People
there.
think I'm crazy, but I say, can't you just make the net a little bit bigger to make it more exciting?
We're not soccer.
I know, but just more
Soccer's
scores,
bigger and it's
'cause
still only one
Every
goal.
time you go to a game, it's like, oh, it's almost going in. Oh, it's almost.
that's
but
the
just make the
excitement,
net.
though.
No,
That's
but
the
net a little bit-
tension.
I don't know. I feel like,
Oh, the biggest change in hockey is the goaltender used to be the non-athletic little guy.
yeah,
Now he's the athletic big guy.
big guy, yeah.
Like the NHL now, they really don't scout a goalie unless he's 6'5".
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Which is now they fill the net.
The net.
And you'd like to say, okay, there's no goal scoring, but it was it 6-5 last night or LA, or Edmonton? Like, so there is.
Not often, though.
But you'll find
Our oldest player got 2 goals last night in the league with Washington. I said,
Imagine if the net was a little bit bigger.
yeah.
the net has to grow with the players.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I know.
If you make everything bigger, it gets even more boring.
Yeah.
Like they always, remember they talked about creating years ago, ice should be bigger.
Right.
Well, then it gets like soccer. And if you're coaching, you just say, keep everybody on the outside, don't get them.
Right.
So now yes, there's a lot more skating, but nobody goes to the net.
Net, right?
Where you want to play in traffic, and then that's what's exciting. The hitting, the falling down, the accidental collisions.
True.
When you're watching a game, what makes you sit up and like get to the edge of your seat? What are you looking for?
No, I'm looking for like everybody. I'd like to see big hits. I like to see like great plays. Like I like to see what a great player can do that, okay, I can't do that. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Or, somebody plays physical. I love to see energy players. And energy players is the simplest thing that no kids today want to do because it's simple. They grow up not scoring.
Right.
But if you're the energy guy, you have that 8-minute role at an NHL team. And you can play 15 years, do very well, and yet you're not the skilled guy. But it's needed. Like our toughest time in Team Canada is usually picking an Olympic team that isn't the best players. Because you can't put 20 best players on the ice. Because there's not enough ice time or enough puck. Because all the good guys want the puck.
Right.
So you need to build a team that, like Bennett was probably our most excited guy, the Four Nations Cup we just had. He played 8 minutes. He wasn't
He played, yeah.
McDavid, he wasn't Crosby, he wasn't the big guy. He was that role player, but yet he was probably the most influential guy in that final game for our Team Canada.
I still think the net should be bigger.
Yeah.
All right, let's pick a photo.
You want me to pick a
Yeah,
photo?
you pick whatever you like.
One. All right. Oh, I had hair.
Look at that.
Look at
Hair, and we played in the all ugly category, the Cooperalls. About 2-year window there. Remember, everybody wore Cooperalls. You guys aren't old enough to know that
You
yet.
gotta bring it back. Bring it back.
What's going on in that
you're-
photo?
you're
What's
17.
happening? What is
That'd be a team picture for my first year. Yeah, age 16, 17.
age 16?
16, 17. Lots of hair.
Yeah.
No mustache yet.
No.
That year when I would start growing the mustache, though. Big hockey gloves. No big hockey gloves now. But
What were you dreaming at that point?
I just want to get through junior.
That's it.
I don't have the A on there, so it's not my second year. So that'd be my first year junior, 16 turning 17. But that would have been, just starting out, just leaving home. I'd made the junior team the year earlier, and my dad wouldn't let me stay. He said, "You're going back to play midget."
But why?
Because he didn't want me to, because I played fairly physical even as a kid. He said, "You're going to get beat up by a bunch of 20-year-olds." He didn't tell me that, but he probably told my older brother that. So he said, "You're going back to play another year of midget."
Where did that physicality come from? The energy come from?
I don't know. Probably my dad.
Your dad.
I'm guessing he played a little physical. He was always in a lot of trouble. I've hered.
Okay.
I was too young to watch him play, but and physical was fun.
It was fun.
That was.
How does that happen? So give me the mindset. Well, you're on the ice and you're about to go in. You take the gloves off.
Well, that's a fighting. That's not physical.
Okay. Let's talk about the fighting part.
Oh, I never fought till junior. That was my
Okay.
first year. Didn't fight through minor hockey. Didn't do any of that. 'Cause
So
it's not
physicality is different
legal.
than
Physicality is way different than fighting.
Let's talk about that.
yeah. Because I find both of them very
Because everybody
aggressive.
thinks because you fight a lot, you got hurt. I said fighting had nothing to do with getting hurt. I played physical, and that's why my body got hurt.
hurt. Okay.
It's like football. It's a car crash every time there's a play.
Yeah.
It's a car crash, and every time you do a body check,
Yeah.
that's like a car crash. So even the guys throwing the hit, you're getting a car crash. Your body's taking something, even though you aren't the one that falls down or looks
Yeah.
like you got hurt. Your body's getting banged up.
And your back injuries started at a really early.
Yeah,
on.
right at my second year NHL, basically from playing through injuries. Everybody thinks they've got a pinpoint of when it started, but really it was just, we didn't have training staff and doctors in the game like today, or you just kept playing through stuff. And then all of a sudden the back says, okay, that's it. You can't play through a separated shoulder, pulled groin, your back's going out, now you can't play. For me, that's, and all players kind of played through that in that era, because we never had the medical staff yet.
yeah.
Really, the medical staff got better soon as contracts, 1991, soon as all players started making lots of money. Okay, we better get better doctors. We don't
Right.
need these expensive guys sitting on the sidelines. All of a sudden, the doctors got better. The training staff, which is the biggest thing, got better.
So how are you doing now?
Oh, I heard everywhere, but I've been old since I've been 20, so it doesn't matter. I was
used to it.
But you're doing therapy now? Like you're taking care of your body?
I do.
Okay.
I do lots of. I'll go through the good and bad.
Okay.
But I'm always limping around with something.
What's something that carries in your body that you notice the most? Like you wake up in the morning and go, oh.
Hip, back, shoulder.
So you're like the whole system.
The whole, because that was my back. I retired a second time 3 months ago. The second time from now I don't play old men's hockey or charity games because 3 months ago the body said, okay, that's enough. So I've retired a second time.
So no more hockey?
No more hockey. That's,
How's that doing for you?
well, that's fine.
You're fine?
I'm fine.
You sure?
Yeah, because we didn't play other than charities for myself.
yeah.
Usually the guys that play a lot and love it, post their NHL career, they were never hurt.
Right.
So they get dressed as no big deal because they've never gone through that. Where the guys that had a lot of injuries, they go, done. Because when you get dressed and you get back into that hockey position, it's like your body remembers, okay, this is why you're sore. But we always did it for charity because it was a great way to raise money in Canada is through an alumni stuff. And then that's our excuse to get together with the boys.
Yeah. Well, now you golf.
Now I golf, tons of golf.
Yeah.
You loving it?
Oh, I love golf.
Yeah.
I'm no good at it, but I love it.
That's the best attitude to say.
And I'm a lefty, right? Yeah. I'm like
awful.
Mickelson. I'm the opposite
Lefty,
side.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not that great. Okay, let's do another photo. At the furthest one.
Oh, All my kids were scared to death in that picture.
Why is that?
Center ice with 18,000 people looking at them.
But that's special.
That's when you're officially old. They hang you from the rafters, and you're now old for sure. But that's probably every time you walk in, you see your number up there, and that you're honored by the team. That is huge. But that's the first time that when you sense a loud building, that's the first time at center ice, it's the loudest.
Yeah.
And they were at center ice, and my middle daughter, she was deathly scared, because that's how loud it was with the fans being loud, and because they didn't really see me play.
I was going to say, well, what did they think this moment was? Did
they just thought I was just somebody else, and because
why did they come and watch you play?
Well, I never had kids till later, so the oldest ones was right at my end where they might have understood hockey, but I played in Tampa.
Okay. Oh.
So it's like, you'd leave but come back. Well, everybody plays on TV. Because if you think you don't know as a kid in Canada, well, you're really not going to know down south.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until later on.
Raising a family while playing hockey.
I was at the end.
At the end, but getting married and all of that.
I did it near the end of my career, so that's more beneficial. Less travel and less hassles.
Yeah.
Less just like watching, as we did the event, Morgan Riley just had the youngster right in the middle of what's going on, because I dealt with all that. And as a player, it's different, and nobody knows. You're not allowed, you can't have the bad game because of anything else. So like when I got traded back to Toronto, my wife was in basically sick kids hospital in Long Island with our firstborn. So I'm traded back to Toronto, then they come, and then she's in and out of sick kids. So no fans know you're dealing with anything. And we talked to Morgan about just dealing with situational stuff that nobody knows, but doesn't matter. That's part of the game that you can't let that affect you, where you know it's going to affect you.
Yeah. So how did you get through it? If it was,
Well, you just dealt with it on your own. Even most of your teammates don't know what you're going through half the time. Because remember, most of your teammates are young, having fun. They wouldn't know what that is anyway.
Yeah.
But that's all part of the personality stuff that fans, when the puck drops, if you watch warm up, everybody's got a perfect uniform, the ice, the cameras, everything looks perfect every game. But nobody knows what the back is, history on anything that anybody's going through on either team. And every team's going to have something, or player. But as an athlete, that's just something that you deal with.
You're just there to do the job.
You go out and do it, and go back and.
So what's that mindset?
Well, you really, shut off game time.
How do you do that?
I know some guys wouldn't, basically, some guys I played with, there's like no family, period, game day. Like no calls, no kids, because they have to go now to game mode.
Right.
And every player, and some guys can take calls right up till game time and deal with stuff, and it's just water off a duck's back. It doesn't matter for them. Every personality is different as a player.
What were your traditions and superstitions around a game when you were playing?
I had no superstitions because I thought the game was hard enough anyway.
You had none?
No superstitions.
Don't give yourself
Now do I have habits and routines? Yes.
Okay.
Because everybody has habits and routines, so that when the game comes, I don't even have to think. It just happens because I keep the same routine. I don't call that a superstition unless it's like our buddy Darcy Tucker I think when we were playing in Tampa, he scored a goal once and he had coffee mixed with Coca-Cola. And he had a good game. So then he started doing that. Who wants to drink coffee and Coca-Cola mix, right? But because and then it gets to be a superstition, right? Because a good thing happened. Yeah. But really, it's just routines. When I first started, I'd get so wound up, I'd throw up before every game.
Oh, wow.
And then as I started playing, I said, you can't be doing it every game. It's got to be just really big game because you get run down by the end of the season because you're forcing yourself to get so wound up.
Yeah.
That you're making yourself tired. So you had to learn to not get so wound up.
What was your way of finding that center without being so nervous, without being so wound up?
Yeah, it's not because you wanted the wound up because you knew you could play, but you didn't want it so high all the time because then your body's going through the ups and the downs, which is very hard.
Yeah.
I think they said Glenn Hall did it as a goalie. He threw up all the time. He was that's hard on the body.
Yeah.
So how did you do it?
Well, I just calmed myself down, didn't get so wound up, and that's all of a sudden it was a divisional game, Montreal game, playoffs. Obviously, you're wound up through the roof.
Yeah.
But you just had to, because especially players that are energy players.
Yeah.
Because then you thrive off. You thrive off the other team hating you, the other building hating you, your hometown being loud when you're playing. Mm-hmm. You thrive off that energy. The fans give the team energy, not the other way around. The team doesn't give the fans. It's the fans that give the team the energy.
You said it's the loudest in the center.
Yeah.
So when you are playing and you hear those fans,
You hear everything.
You hear everything.
You hear like it's a not, but you'll hear individual stuff. It'll be dead quiet, and some heckler will say something. Like, well, that's here in the greens. I've heard that guy.
Really?
Yeah, there'll be a specific voice, that stands out. When the guy says, "Oh, I don't hear anything," yeah, you do.
Does it get to you when you hear it?
That's all part of it. But it's all the negative. Like at home, obviously, you don't want too much negative.
Yeah.
I've seen some guys go through a tough time when they're getting, your hometown fans are on the hometown team. That's hard.
Yeah.
Because they really don't know. They're just probably reading what the media says, so they believe it.
As when you were a coach, did you have those pep talks with anybody or any of your players on your team?
No, I never coached at the highest level at the NHL, but it's basically just as a coach, you're trying to get your players ready, and then it's up to them to get themselves, whatever they have to do. Because every personality is different. More now than ever because they come in so many different parts of the world. So
True,
whatever they think, and that's probably the hardest thing is coaching now, is how do I get them all on the same page? Two of our best players are from Arizona. We got a couple from out west and got some Swedes. And you got to all get them to play together and be on the same page. And they all got brought up differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's your toughest thing is managing and coaching right now.
When you were, when you start out in the Leafs, not too long after, you become captain, right? I imagine there's a lot of pressure there, but I'm wondering for you, is it something that you enjoyed? Did you like the idea of that?
Well, yeah, because of watching the game, you feel honored. You're seeing the Chief George Armstrong lift the Stanley Cup, and so I couldn't watch him. I was 67, but Darryl Sittler being captain and guys, and just on any team, Wayne Gretzky being out west, or Lanny McDonald out west as a captain when he played against him. So you're honored to be somebody thought that you could wear and represent the team. So you're always.
That moment must have been an honor for you too.
That's the hugest honor because that's sort of I always say that's the hat trick of honors. I got I got drafted Toronto Maple Leafs. I got named captain, and then that was at the end 4 or 5 years later when they hung the jersey, and then when they retired Davey Keon's jersey, he wouldn't do it unless they took everybody's number that was up there and honored out of circulation. So they honored that. So now nobody wears that number anymore.
Yeah.
So that's another huge, and that was because of Davey Keon, who was one of the best ever here.
Yeah.
Number 17.
All right. Another one?
You look good in a suit too.
Yeah, suits. That was a tux even. That's hard. I got too many chins now to wear a tux that's buttoned done up.
Sweet pause on this one, and we'll cut back up. This is Mike as a kid.
Oh,
Yeah, no worries, man.
Everything's getting casual now. I don't even wear suits.
you don't wear suits anymore?
Sports jacket with, that's what I got, dressed in black and
Dress shoes.
jacket on.
Listen, a man looks good in a suit. You got to pull that out once in a while.
Like a good jacket,
Yeah.
a good sports jacket, like a suit.
I got about 25, somebody can have.
Really?
Just bust one out on a Sunday. Just
I know. Just walk out with one.
Once post-hockey, then, post-COVID, it kind of changed.
Yeah.
Everybody a little more casual.
Casual, yeah. So true. We're good?
Although I watch young players walk around with their suits today, and I go, how do you can't bend over, you can't move. We said that's too small. I grew out of that
People
suit.
wear tight pants now. Men wear very tight pants.
We used to hate that. It means as a kid, your parents couldn't get you pants, so that you just wore them. Now that's in.
The young players now, they want
Too
to show,
short,
they want to show up in that outfit. They want to look fancy.
Oh, they look, there's a contest. Didn't a couple of ours get voted the best dressed or something? I don't know.
Yeah, coming up. Oh, man.
I didn't win any of that as a player.
That's all. Okay, you can take one now.
So that one.
Hey.
That would have been a not playoffs because I don't have a beard yet. But Dougie and I talking at center.
You guys have a very special bond.
Yeah, no, well, he was our best player, and then we had two playoff runs together where we went a long ways. And so that really, and that's what I'm hoping for our team to have, because that's when they'll have a special bond with the fans, is when the fans come every day for 2-3 months postseason.
Yeah.
Then they tie. So Dougie and I got to play, and I didn't play a lot during the regular season with Dougie, but every playoffs we'd end up playing a lot together.
You know, I remember specifically a friend of mine growing up having a poster of you and Doug Gilmour in his room together. And this speaks to...
Oh, yeah, the famous...
This speaks to the bond that you guys had on the ice.
You
know this moment.
Oh, yeah, that one. That McSorley fella picking on Dougie?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, you shouldn't have gone in that one. Oh.
Yeah. No, well, game one, we ended up winning that game, but that was game one, and Marty was actually trying to make a statement because they were going to lose, so he takes Dougie as saying, we're not done. And then I go, well, obviously you can't mess with our best player because he's the reason we're where we're at because of how good he is. But it was about 5 or 10 years after I finished playing that I got smarter. I should have just skated over the bench and one-punch Wayne Gretzky because he was their best player, and he's the guy that beat us in Game 6 and 7.
No.
See, so if I'd have taken it to real violence and thought about it, you did that to our best player. I'm going to go do that to your best player.
Yeah.
You didn't even question it. You just went in.
Yeah, well, no, that's your best. Something happened to him.
That's the job, hey?
You just go there? You're just like, I got to do this.
The eyes roll. So if you'd have seen a picture of my face, you probably wouldn't have seen eyeballs. It'd have been white.
Right.
You'd have to go in, well, because it's Marty, and he's one of the toughest guys around. It'd be, okay, if I'm not mad, he'll beat me up bad.
Who was your top 3 of toughest guys that you...
I don't have toughest ever, but I fought Marty a lot. Marty was my first 2 fights ever in the NHL, in exhibition, played Edmonton, and then it became playoffs that just got so a lot. And I always put Bob Probert as the toughest guy, not necessarily always in fighting, but he was in the what we call the Chuck Norris division. Detroit, Toronto, St. Louis, Chicago, all those teams had 5 guys that were tough. But Proby did it till he was like 36. He'd be fighting the next new 20-year-old that wanted to make a name, and it was, I had to fight Probert. So I give, just mentally, you're handling that at 16 years in the league, some young guy that wants to prove himself. And so that mental toughness, he's the toughest, just handling that, because he answered the bell to every new guy. But I had to fight Proby. No, I didn't have to, but I was dumb enough to fight him all the time.
How do you prepare for a fight? Like there's
I don't, because I have no technique. I have no technique.
There is technique to it.
No, because I was a small guy.
Off, and then you go. I know. I was asking him, like, and you take the shirts off. I'm like,
you grab the shirt, you pull it over, and you just go.
You just go.
Some guys have really thought out, the big guys especially, because I'm only 5'10", so Marty and Proby would have been 6'4", 6'5", 230.
Right.
I played at 200, so they had height and weight. So basically, I was always straight ahead. Because I had to go through it to get it.
Yeah.
Because if I stayed back, I'd be at the end of his arms because I couldn't get in there.
Right.
He's bigger. So
I want to be at the end of it. You got to be a little bit closer.
Inside of
it's
it.
like that lacrosse. You never want to,
Yeah.
you know, when you watch lacrosse players, they want to be tight, so then it doesn't hurt.
Okay, so
If
when I go in
pull
for
away,
a fight, I got to go in.
Go in tight, never
go
get
in,
hurt.
Never, okay. And keep my hands up.
I used to teach kids that because when parents think, well, if you get in tight, nobody can ever hurt you.
Right.
Like, right, and then
So I should just hug the person.
Always hug the person.
Hug the
Hugging
person.
is always good.
Right.
I told one of our big kids coaching in minor hockey, he always took too many penalties. And then he gets suspended, right? Because as a kid in minor hockey. I said, just hug the guy. At worst, you get a holding penalty. And he will know how strong you are.
Right.
Yeah.
But at worst, that's all you ever get is holding. But if you go really violent and you're so much bigger, they're throwing the book at you.
Yeah.
And then you're suspended. Now you don't get to play. So just bear hug the guy. That used to be the big bear hug.
I could do that. I can hug
Then
it.
you don't get hurt.
Right. We don't want to do that.
Yeah, that's
Dougie.
Dougie. Well, there's a
Like,
water weight bug that, and the greatest thing about Dougie, he was your best player, but he understood how our team was built.
yeah.
So if he see we had nothing going on when the game started, he'd start something. because he knew the cavalry was coming, because we know he can't be in the middle of it because he has to be there to get the points at the end.
Right.
But he'd know that, so he would start something physically that we have to finish. But that's how smart he was as a player to wake us as a team up and the building up. Because if the game starts going a little bit rough, the building livens right up.
Right.
Yeah.
So then the team gets going playing better. So like he played all those angles. As good a player as he was, he understood the instincts.
Yeah.
Because he was a tough guy for a little guy.
Was this the best time you played? Was this
Well, that was the farthest we went because that was fun. I always say my rookie season is as fun as that, because at 18, there's no bad days. Even if you're losing, you're 18 years old, just out of high school. I didn't say I graduated. I'm just out of it. So you're 18, just out of high school, playing in the NHL, going everywhere. There's no living on your own for the first time. Like, everything's first.
Did you party hard?
No.
Depends who's watching.
A typical 90s, 80s era. 18. Well, that's why I had to grow the mustache. I was too young to get in.
So you could, I couldn't get in. This man is
Shave the
42.
mustache off, I get ID'd getting in the bar.
Dougie lost his 2 teeth in the front too, didn't he?
Funny story about Dougie. He lost his 2 teeth, and he first got traded to Toronto, so he's going to get his teeth put in permanently so he doesn't have to wear false teeth anymore. First game, he's going down, he gets slashed in the face off a face-off, takes 4 of them out because the 2 new ones were attached to, so now he had 4 false teeth. He said, that's it, I'm not getting new ones till I'm done playing. And that's why he always had the big, the big gap.
How many originals in your set?
I have never lost a tooth.
Hey.
What?
But you don't play that way. If you don't play physical, you don't lose your teeth.
You don't lose your teeth. That's a good lesson.
That's what that winning smile is all about. Look at that.
Yeah. No teeth lost. But that's just
That's
bad
a commercial
luck.
right there.
Yeah.
Of everyone that you shared ice with, who would you say had the best mind for the game?
Mine? Well, Dougie has got to be one of the best. If for Toronto Maple Leafs, the best. Defensively, I started, but he was at the end of his career, would have been Boris Salming. Would have been probably the most talented guy with Dougie that I played with in Toronto. But you put Dougie and Joe Sakic when I played in Quebec, or Stevie Yzerman when I played in Detroit. Those guys they think the game at another level. When I'm watching the game, it looks fast. When they're watching the game, it's slowed right down, and they can just find things that us players that aren't as good can't find.
Right. What does it mean to be a smart player?
I don't know. They just see, they can see, they'll, like, Dougie could play in any era, the smart players can play. Like, people have debates today because Wayne Gretzky was the greatest. Well, today's game, you don't think he could have figured it out?
Right.
The smartest. Like, he won the scoring race every year by 50 points. Even today's young guy, Connor McDavid, doesn't win it every year by 50 points. It's like Tiger Woods in golf, 12 years, number 1.
Yeah.
We haven't had another guy that's been able to keep it 6 months. That's how good those guys are. Like, that's at a whole nother level of good.
Who do you think is going to become Gretzky, or is there?
I don't know. That's tough. Well, you got the goal scoring. Ovi just got that. And then because of salary cap era, you can't keep that team together as long.
Yeah, that's true.
Because Wayne got to play with like 10 Hall of Famers. That Edmonton team was that good. So you could, but he was that. But you're Connor, if he gets longevity. Sydney's got the longevity at 30, a couple of years. Ovi's doing it as a goal scorer.
Yeah.
And the greatest thing about, I like Ovi doing it, he works out like we did. He eats the Subway's bag of chips and Coca-Cola, and he's the leading goal scorer in the NHL. So that is very good to tell all these young guys that he's old school and still doing it.
Well, we're talking about, you just mentioned Gretzky having such a big lead in scoring every season. Do you think that's because of the individual, or do you think now everyone is so much better at the game, like from the training? Because you talked a little bit earlier about...
Yep. Right? No, but we are all the same. So we are all the same, not training the way they do today and eat.
I got you.
Well, then it went, today they're all doing it. So we're actually the same.
Got you.
Right.
There was an in-between time, I call it the Gary Roberts, Rod Brindamore era. They ruined it for everybody. They brought in diet and fitness.
Yeah, no chips.
So then they made it no fun.
Yeah.
So then you did see it because of better shape and the guys looked after them. They had a longer career.
Right.
Because they were playing against guys that didn't do it.
Yeah.
Well, now they all do it. So now it's kind of, we're the same again.
Got it.
Yeah.
And so we're for a while there, you're seeing guys have longer careers, but it's now, they're shortening up again.
Yeah.
Because now everybody's doing the right diet and or they can't play. That's how, but I always say in any league, in any era, the best are the best.
Best for the best.
Like you take anybody and put them in their prime, in their sport, they would figure it out.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. That's just how good they are.
What's your favorite potato chips?
Salt and vinegar, Old Dutch.
Oh, that's a good one.
Old Dutch, Western Canada.
You knew exactly which one you
No, like, I'm not sure. It's like, that's it.
Old Dutch.
Old Dutch. Okay.
Oh, I had to wear my number backwards.
71.
in Detroit. Traded from Tampa to Detroit.
What did it feel like playing on other teams against the Leafs?
At home, it wasn't as big a deal, but dressing in the visiting dressing room in Maple Leaf Gardens that's a bad dressing room.
Man. Yeah.
But that's when it felt weird coming because I was a career Leaf guy, so that's when it felt the weirdest.
Were you happy then?
Yeah, well, we were because Tampa we weren't good, so I got traded to Detroit, and they'd won the Cup in '98. That was '99, and then they won the Cup in 2000. We were playing in Colorado. I think we were up 2 in the second round, and then all of a sudden our goalie got hurt, and Patrick Waugh woke up. And then it was like we couldn't score, and our best player in goal got hurt, and they beat us the next 4, I think. It was, but that was probably one of the most talented teams that I've ever played on because they went on to win cups after because they did the Chris Chelios trade, Simonson trade, and you had Shanahan, Yzerman, Fedorov, Lidstrom. They were good.
What happens when you get traded? Like for an athlete, is it hard to shift, or are you just like, okay, I got to do it?
Now it's a little different. They give people time. In our day, so then I would have got traded. I walked in the dressing room February something. They said, you're traded to Detroit. I drove home, packed a suitcase, and went to Detroit.
That's it. It's like that.
That's it.
And you were okay with it. You can't.
That's it. Nothing to do about it.
You can't do anything about it.
And then I start playing, and I guess my wife would have packed up the house, and she'd have drove one truck. My mom would have drove the other one with the 2 kids from Tampa to Detroit. Wow. That would have been there. I can't see them doing that today.
Yeah.
They have people do things like that now.
Yeah, it's a different world.
It's a different world. They have people.
Someone's packing your bag.
They have people that do. They have people that do that now.
Exactly.
And they take their jets.
And then they take their own plane. And it's a little different.
Did you keep the uniform?
The only thing I've ever kept playing wise was a sweater.
The sweater.
Okay.
A sweater off all the teams I played with. I kept a sweater, but I wasn't a collector of stuff. Now the way everything is worth, I should have kept that and stuff from other players.
Yeah.
Like some players collected, but I never collected anything.
Nothing?
Nothing. Just the sweaters. That was it.
Other players' teeth.
Yeah, Dougie's.
That's it.
Okay, we'll go for another photo.
Oh. First restaurant opening, Wendell Clark's.
What is going on? Well, you're going talking about potato chips.
Potato chips.
Is that potato chips? Imagine.
I'm thinking that might be the
there?
second restaurant opening. That might have been the one in Oakville. One of them. That was a restaurant opening though, because it was pictures taking it with food.
So now you're an entrepreneur.
That's a bad day because when they take in photo shoots, I have to be eating all the time. All day I have to be eating a different meal.
No. That sounds awful.
That's so terrible. Do you love it?
Well, no, I'm just like more of the face of it than really knowing how to do restaurants.
So I
know how to eat and drink on the one side.
Okay.
The other side is a little different. But
you get to choose what's on the menu, I'm assuming.
I'm helping choose early on, and then it's kind of stayed the same since because now it's a bit of a chain. We just have one in Oshawa, one in Saskatoon, and we're opening in Grand Prairie next month.
Nice.
What was the conversation that got you to that point where you had these restaurants?
It was they had come to me. I didn't want to do anything like that. Dougie tried it while he played. And we said, no, got hooked up. He said, don't, because now they're going to expect you there. And we just lost 5-1 and you got to go and hang out with fans because you're playing. Like, don't want anything to do it while you're playing.
Yeah.
I know Mitch has a little bit with the steakhouse, but it's a steakhouse. And
That's
it
okay.
doesn't have to be there to sell it. It's got to go on its own.
Yeah.
Because the restaurant at the end of the day, doesn't matter whose face is on it. It's service and food.
Right. It's
At
true.
the end of the day, it's service and food. You'll get them in the first time, but you have to have food and service or they're not coming back again anyway.
Who's in the photo with you?
I'd have no idea.
Photo ops.
Oh, is nobody related to you?
Nobody, no. People that look better than me is.
I was like, that must be a cousin or a sister or.
Someone who's just very excited to be sitting there.
That's just photo op.
I love the thumbs up.
Yeah.
It's great.
That's just photo ops because we needed better looking person than me.
Oh, hilarious. You look great. You look great. Okay, one more. And then can you get my iPad for me?
Yeah.
And the last one. See, because Wayne whined to the refs all the time.
Did he?
Oh, he got a little bit of clout, right?
Yeah.
And so you're always sitting there having a chit chat. What's he saying now? And that would have been a playoff game. I got the full beard, so that would have been the playoffs. At what time? Would have been home game in Toronto. We used to wear white at home then.
Yeah.
Now we're black or blue at home.
Do you remember what's happening at that point?
Yeah, when Wayne
No,
starts
he was
talking
trying
about
to sway a call. Wayne would have been trying to sway something in his favor. And that's just the way.
And what's going through your mind when you know
Look at your face. Look at
what's
your
coming up? Like
face.
your expression is priceless.
Yeah.
There.
Wayne, you're bullshitting again. But because he used every element to try to win. Like
Yeah.
that's if I can use my charisma / talent / intimidation without really intimidating, he'll get his. And usually when people argue calls in hockey, it's not going to change the call. Or you see coaches always yelling at refs. It's about later on calls. It's not about that point.
Point, yeah.
It's all about lobbying for down the road. That's really what they're doing.
What was it like playing with Wayne?
Wayne was the best. And Sydney learned too late. Because remember how Sydney used to get so competitive and then he'd shove guys and do that. Well, now that just gets the guy that's checking him more wound up to be harder on him. So he learned later to back off. Wayne was the best ever at it. He was everybody's best friend on the ice. Because then if everybody's best friend, then he'll just take me out, but he's not going to try to hurt me.
Right.
He'll buy you the drink before the game even starts. But that was Wayne, very smart
Tactic, yeah.
in that. So if you give Wayne a little bit more time because he's nice and you're nice, now he makes you look bad because you give him that extra second. Right. And that's how good. But he was very smart with that. Probably the only guy, when you get back to the skill, had Mario Lemieux had longevity because he got injuries / injuries / he had cancer in the middle of his career. Had he had longevity, he'd have been the closest so far because he was the most skilled guy I played against. Would have been Mario. But he beat cancer, almost won the scoring race and the Stanley Cup the same year as doing like that's
insane.
That's a feat right there that what he can deal with.
Do you guys hang out? Do you guys meet up?
No,
and do
just when
guys
you do
ever-
that's the functions that we do. That's fun because that's
Yeah.
you're hanging out together, getting to do the charity functions or a corporate function, and you wonder who you come across because they're all 87 Canada Cup. I was 18 or 19 and getting to hang out with Gretzky's, Messier's. There's nothing better than that.
Who's still really competitive now? Even like say you're on the golf course or you're.
Well, anybody that's good at golf, Darcy would be probably as our local guys would be as competitive in golf and loves golf.
Yeah.
But everybody's competitive in their own way, or they didn't get where they got.
Yeah.
That's some just don't show it as much. Some will show it right in their sleeve, and the others will
You'll see it in the
hide it.
game.
Yeah.
See it in the game.
Okay, so we're gonna go through some players, whatever comes to mind. Whatever you want to say. Okay, ready?
Pittsburgh, well, he tried. Like, he's the ultimate player in probably the last 15 years as far as the leadership for a hockey team.
He's cute too.
I wouldn't have gone that far, but that's... And Mitch, there's as skilled a guy as ever and wants to win and play, and he's really loved by his teammates.
All positive.
Twice. Austin, how about that? You grew up in Arizona and you're leading a Canadian team.
Yeah.
And the amount of determination.
Were you surprised?
Well, yeah, because you're coming to, remember, you grew up in a no market and you come to the biggest market, and people sometimes think they thrive in it.
Yeah.
They won't show it, but they love that just by how he's carried himself. I think he loves it. He understands the market because he loves the game. He was a hired gun. He didn't play for Team USA. He went to Switzerland early, made money to play. But no, he loves it.
Oh, the brothers.
Oh, the Kachuk bro. I coached with one, played with my son. The other one, a little older, but they show it. The biggest compliment I gave the Team US in the Nations Cup was that's the closest thing to playing like Canada.
Oh,
Wow.
We ended up beating them, but that was and they brought that energy to the game. Like because of that first shift of that first game, the temperature went right through the roof in that whole tournament.
it's crazy.
Mixed with everything else that got involved, but they were in the middle of all that.
Yeah.
I found this photo.
Harold Ballard and myself, 19 or 18. 18. Drafted to the Leafs. The owner,
Yeah.
Harold.
Legendary mullet, by the way.
Yeah, see, parted in the middle right there. Nobody does that anymore.
Maybe.
And then it started falling out. But no, that's he loved all his players.
Yeah,
and the
he
young
did.
guys
Okay.
really did. I don't think we were going to win because he wanted to be a part of controlling it, and he was already in his 80s. Mm-hmm. And that's like anything. The game is passing you by. So the older players maybe didn't like it as much as the younger players because they were understanding what wasn't going on well. Mm-hmm. Where us young guys, we were so happy to be in the league. It didn't matter what was going on. I got to wear the Leaf jersey playing Saturday night. That's about as good as it gets.
Well, it wasn't meant to you to be so beloved. Like we'll always talk about who we're going to have on the show. And when Stanley said, I got Wendell to be on the show, I went and told so many people, and they just lit up, so excited for the opportunity to hear stories from you. What does it mean to you to have that kind of reaction from people?
I don't know. What are short, fat guys? What see, unintimidating short, fat guys. But no, that's it's just an honor because I got to play a great sport in the right city, which captivates more than just the town. As you see when the Leafs play out west or out east, everybody started. I think everybody's grandfather was a Leaf fan or a Montreal fan back in the radio days. So even no matter where we go, there's a piece of a fan. Even if they're not a Leaf fan, if you go back a couple generations, there is a Leaf fan in it.
Yeah.
And that comes out, and that's the honor of getting to play in such a great organization. I get to do what I've done for 25 years, post-hockey, where sometimes you can't do that if I played in Carolina or you played in, because the game is football or baseball or something down there. We're here in Canada, it's hockey.
When you left the team, when you all retired, what did you miss most about being a Leaf?
The thing you miss most is what goes on right now, playoffs. When you finish playing hockey, playoffs is what because that's the energy, that's the fun. As you get older, you don't miss the grind of February, training camp, trying to get going again, and you're older. But playoffs, even to this day, us old guys, that's like you'll be walking into the building tonight with that energy. That's just fun.
Yeah.
Like that's when they say that all the pressure these players have, that's not pressure. That's fun. Like if the players want to be doing it, if you have the right players, that's not pressure. They've played their whole life
For that moment.
to play in front of that crowd. That's just fun. So that's what we miss come playoff time.
You had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Hey, no, it's
Yeah.
fun. Never got to win it all, but maybe these guys could try something, but
If they did win, what would you do? Let's make a bet.
How would you celebrate?
I wouldn't. I didn't win.
I mean, now.
I'm with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll always be with them. I'll be their biggest supporter.
Yeah.
But I didn't win it.
Right.
Like to this day, I haven't touched the Stanley Cup.
Like
What is...
I still
the
won't.
Stanley Cup?
Nope. I didn't get to win it.
Wow.
But I'd be so honored. I'm the biggest high fivers of all these guys doing it for us and fans. It would be huge. I'll sit back in the alumni box with the beer and just watch everybody having fun.
Do you still think about if you were to have won the Stanley Cup? Like, do you think about that moment, or
I'd have changed the parade route they talk about.
yeah?
No, you always think about winning it because that's the fun.
Yeah.
They'd have probably, like that year in 92, 93, you think it would have been a Montreal, Toronto.
Yeah.
They'd have probably shut the country down.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That would have been the final. That'd have been 2 weeks and nobody going to work. Nobody would have put crops in the fields. The cities would have stopped. There's no Bay Street, nothing.
Right.
Because that would have been such, and especially the two teams, what they meant to the country.
I remember
would have
that,
been, that would have been huge. But everybody dreams of. I used to bug Johnny Bauer because that was the last guy to win the cup, and he has every trophy there is. So every time I had to do an event in the Hockey Hall of Fame, I said, Johnny, I'm taking one of my 8 by 10 pictures. I'm going to put it on your glass figurine because I'm not getting in there. So I'm going to cover yours up with mine just so I can get in there. You can't do that. But because Johnny was probably the best ever last guy to win the Stanley Cup.
So you never would touch it. You would physically would not touch it.
I didn't get a chance to win it.
Wow.
That's the level I put that. Even all the events in the Hockey Hall of Fame that we do, people taking pictures. I'm in the picture,
We're not touching
not
it.
touching it.
You're like, put me over here.
Yeah, that's the level, probably in hockey more than any other, that the people hold that trophy.
Do a lot of people share that sort of?
Yes, no, a lot of people share the same. If you haven't, you got to win it. That's
Crazy. I
that's
feel like you need to touch it.
no. I'd just be happy watching them touch it.
Yeah. Look at this guy.
I know. You got to touch it one day. Okay, fine. Don't touch it. But you should.
No,
Just to see how it feels.
no, yeah. Actually, it was Brian Trottier when they were winning it. You think of the Stanley Cup, and they hadn't started taking the rings off yet because of too many teams over the history. And he said, you got to keep it this size and this weight. There's a guy that lifted it 4 times in a row, and probably 6 times as coach Pittsburgh too. So he got to lift it so much that he knew the proper size and the proper weight. And so that's what they do. They don't change the size or weight, so it always stays the right size to lift that. When you think of it, it should be almost this big now.
Yeah.
They've kept it the same size because of what he mentioned.
Sacred.
Sacred.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. Really appreciate it.
Oh, very good. Thank you for having me.
This is great.
Love this stories, man.
I still think the net should be bigger, but
Maybe that size, that door or something.
Well, when the goalies are all going to be 7 feet tall, and you can't actually see the net anymore.
Now.
So
I'm just
yeah.
saying. Do you coach?
I coached my son, and then I didn't coach after that.
Would you ever coach a team?
You'd like to, but the problem with coaching, everybody stays in coaching is they really miss the game, so that's keeps them. But also, you're fired every 3 years. So that means so if I had to start coaching when I was 33, when I retired, every 3 years you're fired. So from the age of 33 till now, every 3 years I'd be living in a different city. And that's travel. So the guys that do it, coaching's the closest thing to playing.
Yeah.
Right.
Versus going to get a real job.
Yeah.
And so that's the guys that I know that stay. They live and breathe it.
You'd be a good coach.
I don't know.
I think you would.
Sure, is a good coach. He's not gonna tell you who he is.
He'd be a
But I'm
pretty
sure
good
he
coach.
is.
Yeah.
No, it'd be fun, but the whole thing. Your outside life changes because it's every and then you don't become dumb, but you're fired. Something didn't happen. A coach in Seattle just got fired, so you're.
But then when will you have the time to go to Wendell Clark's and get a burger?
That's right.
That's what I'm saying.
I need to go. You said you were in Oakville too, so I got to go.
No, Oakville's gone now.
Oh,
COVID
shit.
is hard on a lot of our restaurants.
Yeah, but
Yeah, Oshawa in Ontario. That's it.
That's far.
That's left. Oshawa's far.
Yeah. Where do you live? Here?
I live in Muskoka now.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, thanks for being here today. Really
Oh, very
appreciate
good.
it.
Thank you.
And,
This is awesome.
With the playoffs, I'm sure you're really busy right now, but
It gets now. We have to do all the talking because the players, you're off limits, right? So
Shaking hands, kissing babies.
then you're not allowed to say stuff because you're not allowed to do
right.
like put, as they call it, put bulletin board stuff up for the other team.
That's right.
But it's fun, like you say. This is because everybody's happy.
Yeah, everyone's happy. You're so happy. You really are happy.
Most days.
I think I think generally you're happy.
In general, maybe.
Yeah. That's a good way to live.
No, nothing. You can't control it. So.
You can't control. Life is precious too. You're amazing.
Yes. Yeah.
Thanks,
no,
man.
all good. Very good. Thank you.
I love
Thanks.
the game.
You gotta love the game.